I just think maybe like it's rocking some straight people's worlds a little bit. They're like, whoa, wait, no, stop.
Hey guys, it's Troye Sivan 18.
When I was younger and growing up in Perth in the super tight-knit Jewish community, I kind of felt different from the boys in my year, but I wasn't necessarily like one of the girls either, you know what I mean? So I just sort of had a bit of a hard time finding my place a little bit, and I turned to the internet. That's why I've had a YouTube account for as long as I have, I think, was because I just was searching for community for personal reasons. That sense of community and that sense of like belonging somewhere really pulled me through.
I was sitting back and I was watching your GLAAD acceptance speech the other day.
The 2017 recipient of the GLAAD's Stephen F. Kolzak Award, the youngest ever, Troye Sivan.
And one of the things you did describe is that until you came out to your parents, you described your queerness, your gayness as a monster, as something that loomed over you. For people that haven't had that experience before, how do you go about communicating what that sense of weight feels like?
Never had to explain that to anyone. How did it feel? For my childhood, it felt like something that maybe like I had dreamt or something. Like it was just something that I hadn't confronted, but it was like this very vague kind of thought that was always in the back of my head that as soon as I thought about it and kind of brought it to the forefront of my brain, I would immediately like push it right back and try my hardest to just ignore it. It's almost like you have to come out to yourself, you know? And so before I did that, I would play tricks on my brain. Like I would think about a boy and then completely try and justify it in my head and be like, no, that was a one-time thing, or I really wanted to be friends with him, or...
You did one-man gay conversion therapy.
Completely, you know, I just like kind of confronted it head on because I sort of, not accidentally, but I really wasn't ready. And my best friend and I were talking in the park and we were talking about deep dark secrets or whatever, and after like 3 hours of coaxing me, I came out to her as bi, maybe, I said.
So she coaxed you or you were coaxing yourself?
Both.
Yeah.
And I could not believe that I had said it. Like I felt absolutely sick because I was like, it just was something that that I'd constantly pushed to the back of my mind and so not ready to deal with. But what it did is it forced me to, you know, I was like, okay, well, I've told someone this now. This is something that like information that exists somewhere in the world. That was the really tough part, was once I had realized it myself and come to terms with it myself, and I hadn't told my family, because we are a super close family that it was just so weird to be dealing with something alone. And it was scary, it was super, super scary. And anytime I was alone with either of my parents, my mind was going a million miles a minute, like, am I gonna do it? Is this a good time? Is this a bad time? Like, what are they gonna think? What are they gonna say? And I just like couldn't shut my mind up. And eventually it became like too much, and I just did it one day. Writing music has always been like the real place where I'm happiest. So here we are.
Yes.
I got the good side of things, left you with both of the rings.
Why were you nervous about putting out the good side?
It was more nerve-wracking than the others, I think, just because it was really like directly personal to someone else as well.
It's at the end of a relationship, somebody gets a better deal than the other person, and in this instance, it's you sort of reckoning with the fact that you got the better deal.
Yeah.
What do you learn about yourself in the process of taking that experience and compressing it into a 3-minute song? What do you kind of discover about who you are?
It's cheesy to say, because I think everyone says this, but music is 100% like a therapy for me, and songwriting is literally in the way that a therapist helps you kind of put things in perspective and helps you realize how you feel about situations. And songwriting does the same thing. It really forces you to just like ask yourself questions. How do I feel about the situation? And I had a lot of like guilt about the way that things worked out, because I never ever want to hurt anyone. And it was rough to feel like I had kind of like messed someone over.
the good side of things. Oh my.
When I hear the opening beats of My, the instinct for me is to strut.
Yes.
And I understand that's actually kind of how it started for you too, at least with that beat.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was in Sweden.
The home of all great pop music.
Yes, I'm so in love with Sweden.
That explains the new blonde haircut.
Yep. Soon I changed my name to Oscar.
Yep, right.
I was like getting breakfast before we went into the studio, and I couldn't really hear the song, but I just heard the kick drum. I Shazammed the song, brought it in, and I was like, this is the kind of tempo that I want, and it just made me want to
Bit of that action. Yeah.
Well, those are my legs strutting.
Oh, got it, right,
Yes. It's always fun to listen on big speakers.
Shine on, diamond, don't make me wait another day.
Yeah. Step.
'Cause passion.
The first thing that you hear is like a vocal pad. It's my voice, so I just sung a bunch of different notes, and then the producer was playing them on keys, and it made me want to like be sweaty with a wind machine and rub against walls and stuff.
Oh my. Oh my. I die every night with I die, yeah. Oh my. Living for
There is a strong 80s vibe.
Yeah. I think that there is some real like timeless classic imagery that was made at that time. I'm such a sucker for like the beautiful light and the soft focus, and for me personally, such a rich time as far as like visual imagery goes.
There's a strong androgyny that ran through that time as well, for men and women as well, because you had like Grace Jones was this like very masculine woman.
Annie Lennox.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all these, beautiful shoulder pads and things like that, which actually that just works with the sort of the strutting vibe of that song.
It feels powerful to me.
Right?
And so
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of channel that and find out what a 2018 version of that looks like.
You've been out for a very long time, right? But was there a moment when you realised there was a sense of responsibility attached to it, where you meant something to people, that you were out, that you were proud?
Maybe when I uploaded my coming out video.
I'm gay.
As soon as I posted the video online, it was like, kind of took on a bit of another life, and it wasn't really about me that moment. For me, it was about reading comments and hearing other people's stories and stuff, and from that moment onward, I realized that was sort of what I felt my purpose was.
What goes through your head when you see a room full of people that are there for you, that have been moved by you, either your music or your story, or just how you carry yourself?
I know what it feels like to look online for community, and so the fact that they have found it and that they're here in person. I've grown up with them since I was like 12, and they were there when I needed them, and I'm now trying to be there for them whenever they need me, and I get to say thank you to them for everything. It feels like a friendship.
Yeah, I bloom just for you. I bloom just for you. Yeah, I bloom just for you. I bloom just for you.
It's a journey that like takes a lot of time and active effort, I think. I still totally get really embarrassed, but in the gap between your comfort zone and too far, that's where I think like the really special stuff gets made.
Troy?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.